Welcome everyone. This will be This will be another rambling video concerning the title update one. I'm checking and seeing that there are also going to be balancing changes with title update one, so I'm just looking into those now. Going to give my thoughts on what I find. So this is the director's letter from Capcom. It's just following up the title update one that I did yesterday. So I'll just read verbatim the first paragraph and kind of bullet point through the rest. In response to some of the feedback after launch, we are planning to make various adjustments to the game, including weapon balance changes. These will be implemented gradually with each upcoming title update in order to make the game more enjoyable for everyone for a longer period of time. So I see that the first thing that they're going to do is change the hammer. I do feel like the hammer in this game. Let's see, do I have a hammer set? I do. I do feel like the hammer in this game could use some adjustment simply from the fact that it's. I mean, like, obviously, I'm no speedrunner with the hammer, but I feel like the flow of the weapon isn't the same as it was in World or even Rise. I feel like to get to the things you really want to get to takes a lot of commitment, and I guess the damage isn't reflective in that commitment. So I do think, like, just outside looking in, I guess probably what's holding it back the most is that it doesn't have like a great sword shoulder check into the big hit you actually want to. So I doubt they're going to add animation. So if anything, they're probably just going to buff its damage across the board. I could see that happening because I haven't checked like the speed hunts and like what weapons are winning now. But I'm sure hammer is on the lower spectrum, so I'm not surprised at all to see that getting changed. Other weapons that I could see getting changed though. Um, Personally, I never thought of weapons getting changed so much as skills and how they affect weapons getting changed. Like, for example, burst on bow guns versus on other weapons is not the same. If you're a gunner, you only have to run 1 point of burst because the other 4 points just aren't worth the damage increase. So I always assumed they would change skills first. When I think about the weapons in the game, I mean, I could see them changing like the only changes I could realistically see is them messing around with hyper armor on a lot of the weapons or taking away your ability to cancel animations. Those are probably the two biggest things that would just really balance the weapons across the board because I do feel Monster Hunter Wilds lacks commitment compared to other games. I feel like I mean, I don't play every weapon, but I feel like the only weapon where I feel like I really have to commit to a attack sequence is Gunlance. Like there's there's like what I would call the bread and butter combo where like you have to commit to this whole sequence while you're doing I mean, yeah, you got to commit to that whole sequence. Pretty much every other weapon I've played, I don't have to commit to anything. I can dodge out the way, go into something else if I have to. So those are probably the changes I'm expecting to see. Next up, some unintentionally overpowered things will be adjusted, including the corrupted mantle. Now, yeah, the corrupted mantle is insanely broken, and I I'm not gonna lie. I use the corrupted mantle all the time. I can't speak for how it affects other weapons, but I mainly use the heavy bow gun, right? So the corrupted mantle, stat wise, the corrupted mantle, if you're running Gore Magala pieces, like 2 piece or the 4 piece, is going to trigger the mantle itself is going to trigger your status, which is going to boost your affinity, right? But the mantle itself also gives you affinity. I want to say the mantle by itself gives you 20% affinity, but it's a solid number. The mantle also gives you um, a 10% attack boost, which is insane. But for Gunner specifically, so like I'm just going to use my Wyvern Heart, right? I'm gonna dump the clip just to show you guys something with a corrupted mantle. Um, Wyvern Heart recovers on its own, and it can recover when you use certain types of ammos to make it faster. But if I equip the corrupted mantle, I get 50% of it immediately, and then I get the increased recharge rate. So I can essentially dump the clip again, doing 10% more damage than I was already doing. Or 30%, depending on what crit skills I had equipped. So, like, yes, the corrupted mantle is absolutely busted. It doesn't surprise me at all that they're planning to nerf it. What I am curious about is the recharge rate on our special ammos for gunners. Are they going to hit that, or are they just going to nerf the damage and affinity it gives? But basically they're going to nerf it because they realize anybody that actually understands how the mantle works is going to use that over any of the other mantles. Like Rocksteady, I think was like the most used mantle in World until we got Temporal. But I would use Corrupted Mantle over Rocksteady or Temporal. So that's just how busted it is. Doesn't surprise me that they're nerfing it. Let's see, next on this list, it talks about quality of life improvements to the game. I'm just speed reading through it. It talks about UI changes. I feel like there definitely needs to be UI changes when it comes to, um, where is that? Like when it comes to your hunter profile and, um, oops, did not mean to call my sacred. I want to say when it comes to the communication, interacting with members, like I feel like all of this could be better streamlined. I don't know how they would do it without major changes, so I am interested to see what they mean by changes to the UI because I feel like an overhaul is necessary. But I doubt that they would do a overhaul outside of like a expansion. Improve game stability. That doesn't really. I mean, game stability. I have heard a lot of PC players talking on how WoW's run. As a PlayStation 5 player, I've never had a problem with the game, so I'm not really concerning myself with that. Game cycle adjustments. I'm going to take an overall look at gameplay flow, which includes balancing in other areas. They're probably speaking to the monsters and how easy they are to kill when you actually know what they're doing. Because obviously, a lot of people have talked about how easy Monster Hunter Wilds is, but I will say it is easy for the veteran hunters. I do still see newcomers struggling with the game. Um, Personally, I think that the sweet spot is in the kill times, right? Like, I do agree that monsters shouldn't be dying in 3 to 5 minutes. I'm no speedrunner, but if I lock in on a monster playing, elemental weakness, using my consumables and all those other things, yes, I'm able to. I think besides Gormagala and Arkville, and Arkville specifically, only because it doesn't have good elemental hit zone values, and I'm a gunner. But like, yeah, besides those two, I can kill every monster in the game in around 5 minutes or less. And that's coming from somebody who isn't a speedrunner. I can only imagine for the people who are actually good at the game. I do think the sweet spot is doubling that. So like like I said, besides Gormagala and Arkville, I'm just used to Apexes. I feel like even with in-game gear, it should take me about 10 minutes to kill an Uduna if I was just using that as a baseline. So I could see them increasing the health pools of monsters by about 50%. Um, One thing they probably also need to hit is the status buildups because, like, I mean, I don't really use statuses myself, but I know in Monster Hunter World, it did get to a point where you could only use about two statuses on a monster in a given hunt. I feel like you can get more than that in Wilds. So if they adjust anything, I could imagine them doing that where you can only, especially for statuses like paralysis and sleep, you can only get about two procs a hunt on a single monster. Um, any adjustments to the hunter themselves, I already spoke on those. I could also see them. I mean, this is just from like a map standpoint, but there is a lot of consumables littered throughout the maps themselves. I could see them dialing that back because I mean, it most people. I mean, again, I can't speak for newcomers. I prep for hunts. So like I slowly gather materials to make, mega potions and hot drinks and all that other stuff. I don't get them out in the wild, but I know you can get them out in the wild. I could see them dialing that back for some more challenge. But like in the letter itself, they're very vague about how they plan to make adjustments, so we'll just have to see. Um, I feel like another thing I missed is that the tile update takes into effect April 4th, but April 23rd, we're getting our first festival. And I am very excited for the festival because the festivals are usually where like the really good event quests drop. These are where we get like the crossovers. These are where we get the specialized um weapons and armors that don't look like they even belong in this game. So I can't wait to see what that festival is going to bring. I've said before I'm hoping for a Metal Gear crossover just so that I could get the exclamation point sound. Um, but it's Capcom. There's no telling who they're going to cross over with, but it's going to be at least one big uh, developer. So um, yeah, that's it for this rambling. Again, if you've stuck and listened to me all this time, I thank you for listening. Peace.